All right, ladies and gentlemen, listeners of Fly Shields Fly and members of Shields Up Nation, please welcome today's guest, a small town Kansas native, a defensive end, tight end, and graduate of Andale High School. He then took his talents about 2 hours and change northeast to Lawrence, Kansas to attend and play at the University of Kansas. Rock, Chalk, Jayhawk. Never tempted by the transfer portal, this KU lifer lined up at tight end for the Jayhawks for 5 seasons. He caught 6 passes for 80 yards and a touchdown in a 3 overtime shootout against Arkansas in the Liberty Bowl, and avenged that bowl game loss in his senior farewell by helping lead his team to a victory over UNLV in the Guaranteed Rate Bowl. A second team All Big 12 selection, he spent some time with the New Orleans Saints before joining Coach Shannon Harris and our DC Defenders, becoming a UFL champion in his first year with the team, and has returned to the district in 2026 for the repeat. Tight end, number 84 in the program, and number 1, the first guest on the Fly Shields Fly podcast, Mason Fairchild.
Woo! Let's go. What up, Mason? Let's go. What an intro.
I mean, I'm fired up, man. I'm ready to play today.
That's what I'm trying to tell you.
Love it. Love it, Mason.
Right,
welcome to the show.
We'll get right into it, but thank you again for coming on and being our first ever, our inaugural guest on the Fly Shields Fly
Man, I'm honored.
podcast.
Very honored.
So, question number one for you. I think this is something that may be under the radar for most fans, but I think it's probably something that's near and dear to your heart or something that you've picked up on. The latest roster additions we have with our defenders are the trade for quarterback Jason Bean and lately adding defensive end, linebacker, edge rusher Kyron Johnson, your former teammates from the University of Kansas. So I'm wondering how it's been having some former college teammates back in the fold this season and alongside you in this UFL experience.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's been great. Obviously, it's been kind of a surge because, we have 3 Wildcats on our team, K-State Wildcats, and Briley Moore likes to remind me of that very often. So, when we got Jason in, Briley was making a comment how we have 2 Jayhawks now, and then Kyron gets brought back. Now we're 3-3, so now we're back to square. So, but yeah, no, it's awesome. Obviously, I think the world of Jason and of Kyron, and obviously we're really excited to have him on the team.
Awesome. I
That's
love
awesome.
how there's that in-state rivalry there.
Oh yeah, it never ends. It never does.
No, it really doesn't. Like you that will be when you guys are retired and you're all coaching and you're back to the next stage in life. Like you'll still have that rivalry, and that's one of my favorite things about sports, but particularly football. I have a question for you, but I gotta sneak another one in real quick. I'm at a track meet today.
Okay.
I coach high school track. We both coach high school football. Is it true that you were a pretty legendary high jumper?
I don't know where that came from. No, I actually wasn't. I was a thrower in high school, which no,
That's what
I was
figured.
I was a decent thrower, but I remember seeing one time on the internet about me being some really good high jumper. I'm like, I don't know where this all came from, but I mean, I guess I could try if you really wanted me to, but that's not my forte.
We'll bring you down to Philly and let you get on the mat with us. My question for you is about one of the awards that you were a semifinalist for, the William Cooper Award, where
William
you
Campbell Award.
William
Yep.
Campbell Award. My
hmm
bad. Thanks for the
Oh,
correction.
good.
That's a really impressive award. For those listeners who don't know, that goes to someone who obviously gets it done on the field, but also in the classroom and is a leader on the field, off the field, in the community. Mason, can you kind of talk about what it meant to be nominated for such a prestigious award and the hard work that went into balancing school, work, life, football, all of it at the same time?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously the big thing that kind of gets us started is good play on the field. I don't think that, I think a lot of those years, the guys that won it ended up being, big time draft picks or whatever it ended up being. But obviously, leadership wise and the classroom wise, it's a big testament to what Coach Leipold was allowing us to do. Because I was in chemical engineering when I was at Kansas, and with that, there was a lot of classes that interfere with practice and whatnot. And so the flexibility that Coach Leipold really gave for me to be able to attend practice, attend classes, and not miss a beat with all that, it was really awesome because I think I heard that previous staffs had not allowed things like that to happen. And so to know that your coach really supports you, and especially from a leadership role, Coach Leipold and Coach Sleeve, our strength and conditioning coach at Kansas, their big thing is building that culture and that leadership. And so, I mean, just doing the right things each and every day, and just developing as a leader, developing as a man. That's all part of the core principles of being, a Kansas Jayhawk. So I'm just really blessed that I had such great people around me, and it's hard not to succeed when you have such great people around you.
That's awesome. And again, so impressive to be able to be in the running for such a prestigious award. Great job being able to balance all that. I'm sure that chemical engineering degree was definitely harder. Some no joke classes in there.
No doubt about it.
So, Mason, so I feel I like to think in my head that you were like, okay, a podcast by a couple high school ball coaches. I can get down with that. I can talk to these guys.
Absolutely.
Um, and you having gone back to your high school, and it's funny, I want to say the off season, but really it's the in season for the rest of the football world and the off
Hmm.
season for the UFL. You're back at your old high school and your alma mater. And that is something that we now share in common. This is my first year back at my alma mater, and I am also on the staff and coaching underneath my old head coach. So
Hmm.
I'm wondering if you got advice from me on how to get that dynamic right, going from a player looking at our head coach as an impactful mentor in our lives and a god of men, and then now going to be a peer, being a colleague, and giving your input. What advice do you have for me?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's definitely a perspective change going from a player to a coach. I think as a player, you just kind of go along with the decisions that they make, and sometimes you question why you do certain things or whatnot. But once you get back to being into those coaching shoes, you really start to understand why things take place. And even though for the kids it might not make a lot of sense at the time, there's a greater purpose as long as you have a plan. Obviously, if you don't have a plan, then I think there have been sometimes in my career playing wise that we didn't have a plan, and I think that's why we went 0-9 one year. So, but as long as there's a greater plan, obviously just being a sponge and taking it all in, because at first you still kind of have that player's perspective where you're trying to learn and trying to understand why things are the way they are. But yeah, just it's such a privilege to coach those young men and to be a part of it. And obviously, we had a lot of success at my high school this past year, and I'm hoping you guys have similar success.
Much appreciated. Speaking of 0-9, Robbie and I, when we got started coaching, we went 0-17 to start. So we know a little bit about turning
Oh yeah.
losses into wins and losses into lessons. Quite the contrary this year. The DC Defenders are sitting in the number one spot. Things seem to really be clicking after the week one, where we couldn't get too many points going. But ever since, the offense just, I made a comparison last week to the greatest show on turf. I know you're a little younger than us, but that 1999 2000s St. Louis Rams team has a lot of. I think that the offense right now has so many weapons where it can be comparable to one of those offenses of the past, where you have talent in the backfield. You've got receivers that can run any route, catch any pass. You've got tight ends that are threats running, effective blockers, and JT just doing his thing, Teamu at quarterback. So my question for you is just what's it been like this year, riding the high of last year's championship while still staying super competitive and disciplined and focused as you guys chase another one.
Absolutely. I mean, not to detract from what you're saying, but also we have a lot of studs on that offensive line that really get it going and
100%.
allow us to run the ball the way we do. But yep, I
There
know
you
if they
go.
saw this and I didn't say something about it, they'd give me a hard time about
I
it. So I
gave you
need
that
to make
alley
sure
oop,
to.
so way to slam it
Yeah,
home.
absolutely. But yeah, no, I mean it's an awesome offense to play, and obviously Coach Keiss likes to dial it up, and we're running plays that haven't seen a football field in 20 some years, and so
Yeah.
when you got that kind of play calling, that kind of creativity, it makes it a lot of fun to be in this offense. And like you said, I mean, we're in that meeting room, you're looking around, you're like, yeah, this guy's a dude, this guy's a dude, this guy's a dude. And so when you have so many guys that can play at such a high level, it's a lot of fun to be a part of, and obviously it translates to a lot of success on the field.
Mm.
Love that. And it's been so much fun to watch. Ton of fun to
Oh yeah,
watch.
oh yeah, yeah. It's a lot of fun to play, and I'm sure it's a lot of fun to watch.
Can I ask you who has been your favorite team? Well, not your favorite teammate. Tell me an impactful teammate that you've had in your time with the Defenders. Somebody that sticks out to you as a culture guy, somebody that helps you to be better, maybe somebody that lightens the mood. Like who comes to your mind with someone that's just a culture teammate, an impactful teammate?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think as a tight end, it's hard not to say Briley. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously he was my roommate from the second that I showed up here for camp last year. Being in this offense, being part of the culture and understanding what the day in and day out looks like, it's hard not to give him a shout out. Ben Bresnahan's another guy in that tight end room that knows the expectations. But I mean, you look around. That's another fun thing about being on this offense is that every guy every single day is trying to get better and better. There's a lot of energy out there when we practice. A lot of guys, hanging loose, having fun. So it's hard, like I said, hard not to have success, and it's hard not to have a lot of fun when you have so many great and fun guys around you.
I
Let
know
me
we got to
jack up.
wrap up. We got to get moving. I got to get back to my track meet. You got to get out for practice. But is there anything that you want to say to the DC Defenders faithful fans before we wrap this one up?
Yeah, I mean, we got a big game this weekend. Got the Renegades coming to town. We got a pack Audi, and probably see Briley get, chug a few more beers. Coach Shannon pour a few on them, and hope we are having a lot of fun on Saturday. So just really excited about that opportunity.
Amazing.
Well,
Thanks for
thank you
hopping
again,
on, man.
Mason, for coming on. We really
Absolutely,
appreciate you. The inaugural guest of the Fly Shields Fly podcast. Tell your teammates you had a great time. Send them our way. But
will do.
another bragging right for the Jayhawks, though. Jayhawks got on here first before the Kansas State folk.
I'm sure Briley will be on there next week. Then
Yeah, there we go. Try to
say
catch
he
up.
won't let that go too long.
Well,
Awesome.
thank you
Thanks,
again.
Mason.